Note: this is a remake of an episode that originally appeared in an alternate timeline of the Debbie and Carrie show. One weekend, a conference of Unitarian Universalists in Texas is held in Dallas, attended by hundreds of participants around the state and beyond, including. Thanks for coming to this convention, Lucy Sims. It is always good to see you and others from your town here.
So how is your church in Fort Worth doing, Dale?
It is surviving. That's really all I can say at this point. It seems younger people just aren't as attracted to forms of Protestant services as they were in previous generations. That's why mainline Protestant churches have already collapsed and even more conservative religious groups are dying out. You'd think as an atheist I'd be happy to see religions like Christianity die off, but I still believe people, including children, can benefit from a religious community that doesn't lie to them or abuse them.
Yes, but there are so many options for people to experience community that doesn't involve religion.
Well, it's almost time for my lecture on the Baha'i Faith. You are welcome to join me there. At first glance, the Baha'i Faith and Unitarian Universalism appear much alike, with both being champions of human rights, accepting of other religions, and seeking to make humanity better by showing a better path to follow. But the reality is different. The Baha'i Faith is actually an authoritarian cult, much like so many others that have arisen to strangle free thinking in people. So for many years I have sought to warn people, including my fellow UUs, about it. And here is my advice for UUs encountering Baha'is who try to teach them their faith. 1. Be friendly, but reserved. Most Baha'is are genuinely loving for humanity in general, being ignorant of the actual failings of their own religion, just like the members of most other religious groups in the world. 2. Be willing to work with Baha'is on issues you have in common, but only on your terms. They are decent allies against racism and for human rights in general, but they will avoid issues regarding gay rights, seeing gays as diseased.
What? How can they call same-sex attraction a disease? That's bigotry. They claim to oppose prejudice of all kinds, but their view of homosexuality makes them liars. It insults my very existence.
3. Do not confront them about their falsehoods and failings of their religion, unless they actually try to convert you. Most Baha'is are not emotionally equipped to deal with the totality of the facts regarding why their religion is not suited for most people in the world. However, if a Baha'i does ask specific questions about why you reject the Baha'i faith, be honest. Do not sugarcoat the truth in such cases. My name is Scott and I am visiting here from Los Angeles. I actually considered becoming a Baha'i at one point. Like my Aunt Lucy, I am an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and I was looking for a new religion. Ironically, when I compared the Baha'i faith with Islam, Baha'i came up short because of the Islamic claim that Muhammad was the seal of the prophets. Yet the Baha'i faith claims Muhammad as a messenger of God and Islam as a true religion. That's a contradiction I couldn't accept. So I looked at Islam instead and eventually accepted that. And now I am much happier than I ever was as a witness. You converted to Islam because that religion fits your spiritual orientation, just as your Aunt Lucy became atheist because of her spiritual orientation. I will explain more about that concept in a bit. Continuing the original topic. 4. If you attend Baha'i gatherings, never go alone. Such events known as firesides, unity feasts and Baha'i holy day celebrations are designed to manipulate seekers into learning more about the faith, but they are profoundly one-sided in their depictions. People who are going through periods of depression or grieving over a loss may find themselves subjected to love bombing by Baha'is. That's also something Jehovah's Witnesses have in common, it seems. We witnesses actually deluded ourselves into thinking we were being kind to people who needed comfort. Now I realize we were scamming them. My wife and I are bringing up our daughter Dinah in Islam, but we also attend UU services in addition to Islamic services, because we want her to know all sorts of religion, not just one. That way, if Dinah decides to also follow Islam as an adult, we will know her faith is genuine. Even in the Quran itself, it says, "Let there be no compulsion in religion." And that is why extremist groups that profess Islam, like the Taliban, are actually evil cults, to Islam what the Jehovah's Witnesses or the Mormons are to Christianity. There is indeed a lot of evil in religion, and a lot of good. That's why we all need critical thinking to sort out the false and harmful crap from what is good and true. Moving on. 5. If a Baha'i wants to join a UU church as a Unitarian Baha'i, welcome him. Not all Baha'is are loyal to the Universal House of Justice, the leadership body of the faith, and those that want to think freely should be helped to find a place to do so. UU churches and fellowships are ideal for this.
But over 99% of Baha'is are loyal to that body, and they ruthlessly exclude any professing Baha'i that isn't loyal. Then they have the nerve to talk about the unity of religion. Those hypocrites. That's why I refused to become a Baha'i after I was taught the faith in Miami. It only took a few minutes of searching the internet to find damning reasons to reject it. Including your blog, Mr. Husband. And I now attend UU services, having been introduced to Unitarian Universalism by my daughter Carrie and my colleague Dr. Drake. What a refreshing contrast.
So can you explain what spiritual orientation is? Yep, that's coming right up. Just as people have different sexual orientations, they may be hetero, homo, or bisexual and also may be cis or transgender, so likewise they may have different spiritual orientations. This explains why two different people, even members of the same family, raised in their parents' religion may end up following different religions, or none at all, as adults. They don't really have a choice. They feel compelled to find a religion that fits their emotional and spiritual needs, if the religion they were raised in doesn't suit them. The problem is especially troubling if they are in a homophobic or transphobic religious community, and they are not straight or cisgender. Even so, one can still identify as religious without being bigoted or ignorant. I have come up with the concept of spiritual orientation to explain something about human nature that seems to be a puzzle to atheists. Despite the dogmas of major religions like Christianity and Islam appearing to be debunked by reality itself, there are still nearly 2 billion Christians in the world, as well as over 1 billion Muslims and millions of followers of other religions around the world. There are relatively few atheists and agnostics in the world, and most of them are found in countries like China and North Korea, where atheism is forced on the people by communist governments. The experiences of the 20th century proved that communism as an ideology was just as dogmatic, arrogant, and embarrassing as Christianity, so it was eventually discredited. Good riddance. One of the biggest mistakes, in my opinion, that atheists make in attacking the dogmas of religions like Christianity is they're doing so specifically to promote atheism rather than freedom of thought. The most blatant example of this was the publication of Richard Dawkins' book The God Delusion. The implication that all people who choose to believe in any sort of God are mentally ill is insulting rather than enlightening, which is why I never bought that book. It enables Christian dogmatists to counterattack by claiming that atheists are just as bigoted and dogmatic as they are, which is simply not true. Maybe less dogmatic and bigoted, but not the same as the way Christians tend to believe in the Bible without question. Just as Scott mentioned the Taliban as an evil form of Islam, so there are toxic types of atheists. Examples included Madalyn Murray O'Hair, the founder of American Atheists, and Ayn Rand, the founder of Objectivism. Those two arrogant, bigoted extremists brought disgrace to atheism in America, and that made many think atheism itself was evil. I wish neither of them had ever existed. And that concludes my lecture.
Thank you for your explanations, Dale. These things are a big help in understanding how people can get so messed up in religions, and how we can still respect religions too.